Hello everybody and welcome back to day 2 of the 6-month pantry challenge. My name is Noelle. I'm so happy to have you guys here. And this is actually a little later in the day. I haven't had a chance to film yet. But I did film breakfast and lunch for you real quick. So let me go on and show you our breakfast and our lunch, and then we'll jump into some more stuff. Alright, so this is the fast, easy breakfast for today. I'm going to take a part of an apple. I'm just showing you one serving. Now, if it's somebody else, they'll probably have a bigger bowl than this. This is me, and I just can't eat the biggest servings anymore. So I'm going to start with a piece of apple. I eat this breakfast all the time. It's one of my favorites. It's also a wonderful snack. I'm going to put some apple in the bottom here. These little bits of celery, I'm going to add that as well. Celery here, and then I'm going to add a little bit of raisins, a little bit of walnuts, kind of crush them up a little bit. Some of those are big. Pour some of our homemade yogurt on top. And a little bit of cinnamon. And a drizzle of honey. That's it. It literally took me a minute to put it together. I just stir it all up and I eat it just like that. Super fast, easy breakfast. Literally took a minute. Alright, so then lunch today is just leftovers. There's some quiche and there's some tomato pie. I am choosing tomato pie, so this is mine. And that's it for our lunch. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to do today, now that breakfast and lunch is done, one of the things I wanted to do with you guys is I am going to let you see inside my fridges and my freezers. My pantries, I'll just show you some of the buckets that I have up here in my kitchen. I'm not really going to do a pantry challenge. I know that's been asked of me, or a pantry tour. I don't think it's wise really to do that right now. But just know I have lots of home canned food ready to go. I have more 5-gallon buckets, a few odds and ends of store-bought stuff that still remains that hopefully during this challenge we're actually going to get through, because I would love to not have any of that anymore. But I am going to share with my freezers, and I guess you'll see we just did a big chicken processing over the last few days. However, I don't have much to show for that. I do have, I think I kept 12 chickens, 11 or 12 chickens for myself, and I sold all the rest. So my chicken freezers are not full, and you will see that. However, in November, we have 2 weekends in November that we will be processing 100 chickens and 5 turkeys, of which 50 of the chickens are already sold, and 2 for sure turkeys sold. I haven't decided if I'm going to let a 3rd turkey go or if I'm going to keep 3. I'm undecided on that. So that will fill any emptiness in my freezers as far as meats go. And then that will carry my family until late spring, early summer. And that's when we will start raising chickens again. So we will be restocking chickens throughout the summer and fall. And then we will also have 2 of our cows be processed. So I will go into beef. One of the things as being on a farm is we have seasons that everything goes. So right now is my pork and my chicken season, and you'll see that. And then it will go into chicken and beef, and then pork will be fall and winter of next year we'll be redoing the pork. So that being said, as we go through this challenge, you're gonna see me use a lot of ground pork and stuff like that. And I will tell you what you can use in place of that, if that helps some, because pretty much anything I'm gonna use ground pork for, you could use ground turkey, ground beef, whatever you can find. We're also gonna piece out some chickens today, and I'll show you that in my fridge because I still have 4. I did 7 of them last night and I have 4 to do today. So 7, 8, 9, 10. So I kept 11 chickens. So I kept 11. One though I think I'm gonna leave whole, so I think we're just gonna piece out 3 because I think I'm gonna make a roasted chicken for dinner tonight so we can have one of them fresh. But I think that it's a very important skill for everybody to know. It's something I didn't know how to do, but I feel like so many people should know how to do it because there are many times that you can buy a whole chicken at the store way cheaper and piece it out yourself than to buy all the different pieces of the chicken. Or say you just want to make some fried chicken. It's be cheaper to just buy a chicken and cut it up and make your fried chicken instead of, you know, buying all the different parts. The other thing is, as I give you just a little peek at my upstairs, what I have upstairs food-wise, it's going to be very boring to most of you. I think, you know, you would see my pantry and be like, what? Because I don't have fun stuff. But when I look at my pantry, I get excited because I have the ingredients to make anything and everything our heart desires. So when I look at my pantry, I see cookies and brownies and cupcakes and stuffing and all this stuff, even though none of that is there. I have all the ingredients to make bread, to make stuffing, and you know, so I have the ingredients to make anything and everything that we want. So just keep that in mind as we're looking through. I don't have fun food. I just have basic stuff. All right, so let's jump in. I'm gonna show you my fridges and my freezers real quick, and then we'll get into breaking down this chicken because I need to get that done this morning and get it in my freezer as well. All right, so we're gonna start here with my upstairs fridge. It's pretty empty. You guys, something else you're gonna notice is my fridge is, if you cook everything from scratch, most everything is just empty unless you just cooked a bunch. I have some leftover chicken from the other day. I made some homemade chicken soup because it is sick time in this house. I have a couple down with colds as this weather is crazy. There is some yogurt that I just made the other day. I have a little bit of milk, but you'll see outside. I had to empty my fridge because we had it full of chicken. We now are at the point that I've got these chickens, these 4 chickens that I need to do something with, and these carcasses are defrosted. I need to turn that into bone broth. I have 2 carcasses here. That's from our last batch of chickens. I like to get those all processed into bone broth before I start adding all the new carcasses. And then you just have basic stuff down here. I've got mushrooms, I've got lots of carrots and celery and some oranges and stuff like that. And over in the door is just your basic. I got some condiments, some store-bought, some homemade. That's really kind of all that's going on there. And then in the freezer side, I have lots and lots of frozen fruits and vegetables, store-bought and homemade, or stuff that we grew on our farm. I have nuts and seeds down there. In the door, I have like my scrap bag. I don't even know. Oh, that's French toast sticks. I don't even know where this came from. Kate has like a piece of a candy bar in here. And there's some ginger cubed and ready to go. And then I'll just take you into my dining room real quick just so you can see. I do have a few apples that we had gotten, but I still need to get quite a few apples for canning, which I've told you guys. I have some of my ground cherries in a bowl here, which I love. We do have a few bananas. The squash is from our garden. We got pumpkins, lots of pumpkins, which I need to make pumpkin puree. This all came from our garden. And then some of the bigger pumpkins the kids are gonna carve. And then when you look over here at my pantry area, this is all in my house before we got to the garage. Again, kind of just boring stuff, you guys. I have like dark rye flour up there. I have some corn masa to make tortillas. I got some white beans, navy beans to can up, which I still need to do some baked beans. I have polenta. I have baking soda, and then when you kind of go in here, if you open these up, they go back. So I got 3 gallons of honey. I got 3 gallons of coconut oil. That's just some of my baking stuff. And look here, this is fun stuff the kids have bought. So the kids, they have this little shop at their work, and they love to go buy cute things at their shop after they get off work. So they just bring this stuff home. You'll see there is always some kind of candy or something that they bring home, and I'm not gonna tell them they can't bring stuff home. I have just some oils up here. This is basically just oils and vinegars and some spices. That's some honey that got pretty thick and crystallized. So that's good for if I'm baking something and I want honey, or put it in hot tea. But then I like to use a smoother honey for like oatmeal and stuff like that. Or, I mean, yogurt. But yeah, that just goes back. That's some, I have some like miso or some dashi back there. Some of my just different Asian sauces. And then here I have some coffee. Let's see, more cornstarch. I have little yogurt cultures. That is a whole milk powder. I have, what is this? Vital Wheat gluten. I keep vanilla bean powder always. I should probably just go on and put that in my thing. I have craisins for Luke. I have a bunch of different vinegars and stuff like that. And then my pasta maker's back there. See, and then you come over to this one. And I have just basic stuff like raisins, chia seeds. I got chocolate chips, some dried persimmons, craisins. The kids, again, brought home some different candies. So they put them in. That's the female jars, is what we call them here at the house. So that there's chocolate for all the females. I have, you know, just your basic popcorn. I got white chocolate chips. These are just different teas. There's chia seeds. Down here, I got baking soda. I got potato starch. I have, let's see, gelatin and powdered sugar. Kate bought herself a bunch of different coffees. She's got caramel vanilla, blueberry cobbler, cinnamon French toast, and pumpkin caramel spice. Those all sound delicious, but I really don't like flavored coffee. I like plain, so that's what I like to have. And then all kind of different teas. Well, this is actually coriander from our garden. This is dill seed from our garden. This is, that might be burdock root. I forget. That's one of my teas. Harry's tea, little green tea balls. Marshmallows, Luke loves marshmallows. Once we get through those, we'll have to make our own. I have some, it's all different stuff. This is the cherry blossom powder. This is blue sweet pea, I think is what it is. Let's see, there's rosebuds. I've got some different dried beans. That's black tea back there, green tea here. I've got mint tea. It's lavender back there. So just all different stuff like that. Again, probably very boring to most people, but that's how my pantry looks. Upstairs and downstairs, except for a bunch of home canned fruits and vegetables, and a couple sauces and jams and that kind of stuff. That's how my pantries look. And I need to just go through all of that. Sorry, it's tight fit back here. I don't have a lot of room between my cabinets here, which will all go into my new kitchen whenever we redo the kitchen. That'll happen this winter. We still have a bunch of sweet potatoes in the ground that we gotta pull. We still have squashes coming. We still have some peppers. We still have some tomatoes, which is definitely coming to the end. We have still some spices out there. I have some Swiss chard out there. We have cabbage still growing out there. Have some corn, but we're letting that go to seed so we can have it for next year for planting. I think that's about everything. That we still have stuff that we're getting out of our garden. And then of course I have all my herbs drying here, so we have lots of herbs to go with everything. And then some of the 5-gallon buckets, there's just more of this type of stuff downstairs, which I'll go and show you now. but we are going to be taking all that down to the basement here soon. Like, this is 3 5-gallon buckets of flour. I like to get flour from Azure, and I like to have it already ground and ready to go for this time of year through to the after the holidays, and then I'll go back to grinding my own. I have hard white wheat. This is a huge 5-gallon bucket of salt. That is Redmond's real salt. And then I also have a big 5-gallon bucket of Himalayan pink salt somewhere. There's soft wheat berries. There's hard red wheat berries, buckwheat flour. Down here, both of those are pasta flours. You see it says that on there. Down there is rice, and I've got a few more rice downstairs. Then you come over here, and I have, these will stay upstairs because these are what I just get into all the time. Like, there's my sugar. Under there is the open flour. Here is oats. And of course I have more of those downstairs. And then, or that's oats. And then, what is that one? And then this says rice, but that's a joke. Oh, that's more raw sugar. So, as you can see, these though are not really all the way full. Like, here's oats. That one's getting low, but I do have, I think, 3 or 4 more 5-gallon buckets of oats. So the amount of grains and that type of stuff and baking needs is huge that we have at our house, and that's another thing I need to get through because I don't want all that to be wasted. I do still have some store-bought stuff, if I didn't say that already, downstairs in our pantry, and that stuff, and a lot of it's canned and it's probably even past its expiration because I don't ever go for the store-bought stuff. We always go for the stuff, the other stuff. However, we need to get through that stuff because even if it has an expiration date that's already passed, with canned goods, as long as it's not dented or anything, you can still use it. So I just want to use up what we have, which was, I guess, a third reason to do this challenge. All right, now let's go out to the outside in our garage. Now, this fridge is actually pretty full, and normally that one is empty. But because I had to empty my inside fridge for, it's bigger, for all the chicken, this fridge is full now, and that one is empty. All right, so in this fridge here, again, it's very boring. I have milk here. This is actually Theo. He wanted sparkling water. So believe it or not, I don't drink it anymore, but his mom got him that. This is some maple syrup. One of our open gallons. I do have another gallon downstairs. Kate got Theo some of that jalapeno dip or that Gordo's, and she got him some of that hummus. So he does have that there. This is all yogurt. If you can see, that's all yogurt. That's bacon grease. Here is a box of dates. These are 2 big boxes of butter. That's a little bit of pizza of Luke's. In here, I do have some grapes and looks like some cucumbers, more lemons, more carrots, more celery. I have a bunch of cranberries. And then when you go in here, I have a bunch of lard that I rendered from our pigs, tallow, more lard, Coke, and I will tell you about that here in a minute. There is some of Luke's juice, some of Theo's Ensure, and down at the bottom, that's all milk. So the Coke is actually Luke's treat. Really nobody else in the house drinks Coke. And I have that for, he likes to go to the movies. And the movies are very good therapy for him because he has to sit still in a movie. Maybe he's not really that interested. He has to deal with people not following the rules, like making noises during the movie, which always is never a good thing. And so it's just really good for him. But we go on $5 Tuesdays. So I can take him, or Charles can take him, and it's $10 to get in. But if you go in, and he always wants a Coke, because you get Coke and you get popcorn at the movies. And I guess I'm just cheap, because I would much rather get a bottle of Coke like this, and I put it in with his blanket and stuff that he takes into the movies. And then I pop some popcorn and I put it in a bag, and I take that. And then that way we keep it at $10, because I cannot afford to take him to the movies every week that there's something available to watch, and spend $50. We cannot afford that. So we can afford $10 but not 50. So that's why there is that Coke. That is for his movies. All right, that being said, now let's go into the freezer. Oh, it's falling on me. So this is all we have left of beef. This is the end of our beef. So this is basically just beef and cheese. And it's just a variety of beef. And then when I pull this out, I'm gonna have that stuck. I do have just a variety of cheeses in my freezer. More cheeses here. Tiny bit more beef there. And then in the door here is all just different cheese. All right, now we'll move into my freezers. Now this tall freezer broke. And when that went out, it was cheaper to buy these two smaller freezers. We just got to rearrange everything in here. But we use these two smaller freezers to replace that big freezer. So the big freezer we had gotten for like $75 from somebody. Charles worked with it. It was already old then. Charles has repaired it multiple times, and then it finally went kaput, and we got it probably 10 years ago. Maybe longer, maybe 12 years ago. And so he got these two smaller ones, and so far they're working really good. And honestly, Chet's freezers, for if power goes out and stuff like that, they're really better than the stand-up freezer, even though they're harder to go through and find all your stuff. They are better because it will help keep food cold longer, so you have to worry about it less. So we'll just start over here in the first freezer. This is really sad because none of this is for me. But this is a bunch of chickens. This is what people are coming to pick up today. And then we, are sold out. We had a lot of people pick up chicken yesterday. But then this freezer will be filled with our own chicken come November. All right, then we go into this freezer. I always have ice because we never have enough ice. This is our chocolate for candy making, and I have 2 more bags way down here somewhere of that. I have so many tomatoes in my freezer right now. I need to get these all pulled. They're from our garden, and they need to be turned into ketchup, and I think barbecue sauce is what I'm going to do with it. And then it goes on down and down. There's like some squash, frozen squash, and all kinds of frozen fruits and vegetables. So that's what's in here. It's just lots and lots of frozen fruits and vegetables and chocolate. All right, then we'll make our way over to this one. This is my chicken freezer and fish freezer. Now this has ice cream. This is what's left of our Reese Cup ice cream. And then I always keep my ice cream maker always in the freezer, so it is ready to go for ice cream because we make it at least once a week. And then this stuff is still not even all the way froze. I just put it in last night. It takes a while to freeze. And then there's just some different pieces of stuff like beef tongue, oxtail, stuff like that in here. I do have a little bit of fish in here, some cod, a few packets of that. Basically though, it's all chicken for the most part. And then we're gonna piece out 3 more and get those in here. But some of this is just like this big thing, that's just carcasses. So that'll be for bone broth. This is a carcass, that's carcasses. So there's quite a few carcasses in here as well. And then we have, 1 whole chicken. And I think I've got a few stew chickens down there as well. All right, and then our last freezer, this is the pork freezer. So we have lots of bacon, but not as much as you would think. These are the little pieces, packets of just bits and pieces that I was telling you guys about that we made in the quiche yesterday. This is some pork. If it looks like this, that's from our last pigs, so we need to use that up first. And then I have lots of ground pork. We did a lot of just ground pork. If you can look at how red this is from our Coonies, and this really comes out more like beef. So it is a great substitute for beef in recipes, which is great because beef is what we don't have right now, or we have very little of. But yeah, a bunch more ground pork here, and then just it goes all the way down to be different cuts of pork, but mostly it is all ground pork for the most part, and then some bacon. There's a little bit of pork chops, and and I think a little bit of ribs and that type of stuff, but not much. Most of it, again, is going to be a ground pork. And I think there might be a few packets of sausage from before. I'm not sure, but I think there might be some. Downside to the chest freezers, you're never really sure what's in there. But that's how we organize it. So we always have a pork. And like I said, these will be full of chicken. And then when we have our 2 cows done, we will actually probably need to add even 1 more freezer in the summer, and then we will have 2 filled with beef, because the one with pork should be pretty much empty. And then we'll have 2 chicken and 2 beef. So there you have it. That's a look at kind of what's going on that I have so far as food in my upstairs. And aside from the home canned stuff and just a few store-bought items, that's really what's downstairs too, is same kind of stuff, except for no frozen stuff. It's all up here. So that's what we're working with. All right, so when I am piecing out a chicken, which is what we're gonna do next, first thing I like to do is I like to have my big baking tray, because I'm gonna do all my piecing out here. Has the rims, so all the juice doesn't go anywhere. Then I like to have 5 containers set up, because I break mine into 5 different parts. I like to have chicken wings, chicken breasts, chicken thighs, chicken drumsticks, and then I also save my carcass. So I like to have all 5 going. Now, if you don't want to separate your thighs and your legs and you want to keep thigh quarters, then you would only need 4. If you like to keep your wings whole and you don't want to divide them into the drumstick and the little wingette, that's fine too. Then you need 3. So just make sure you got enough bowls set up, because once you get going with your hands, you don't want to have to be washing them all the time and touching everything and doing, you know, switching things up. So just like to have everything in place. The other thing you need is a really sharp knife. It needs to be really good and sharp. It's key to piecing out chicken. So make sure you sharpen your knife, get the sharpest one you got. Also, kitchen shears. They are your best friend too when you are cutting out a chicken, piecing out a chicken. So I like to have my chicken shears and my really, really sharp knife. Okay, that being said, clean hands and you're ready to go. So you're just gonna take your chicken. I like to have my garbage can open as well, so that I can just put this stuff easily into my garbage. So just start with your chicken. I'm gonna do this best I can because I can't hold the camera and move it around to show you guys. And Charles is already out doing stuff, so I can't have him hold the camera. Now sometimes there is a feather left on it or something like that. Always check. Even if it's store-bought chicken, I always find a feather. So make sure you get your feathers off. Any feathers it might be. And when we bag these for ourselves, we label them with like a black tie so that we know that that's ours. I don't worry so much about making sure that every single feather is off when we bag it, like I do on the ones that we sell. When we do what we call quality control. So I always have a few more feathers to pick off. When I'm piecing out. Alright, then we're ready. So one of the main things is we're going to let gravity work for us and help us. So I'm going to start with the arm, with the wing. I'm going to hold it up and I'm going to cut along the bottom here. And then I'm going to cut down a little bit here. I like to cut into my breast a little bit because I like to have a little meatier wing. And as you pull it, you will feel it kind of pop. As you're pulling it up, that is popping it out of the socket so that you're able to pull that then off. Then I just do a little cut down here because I like to separate mine all the way. Pop it. See how that just separated? And I like to take my scissors and just cut like that. And then I have my little drumette. That's going in a bowl. And then you cut out this little extra piece here. that's never there when you do it. But what I do with that piece is I just leave it still. Somehow I missed a feather. So I can shove this inside of the carcass because it's great for the bone broth. But you don't have to do that. You can definitely just get rid of it and throw it out. Alright, so then we're going to do the other wing. Same way, just kind of hold it up. Use your really sharp knife, get down in there. Go all the way around. And you'll feel it just kind of pop. And then you can go right between the bones. Again, slice that little part right there. Pop it with our hands. I like to go between the bones with my scissors. I'm going to cut this little extra piece off. And there is my wing. So now I've got 4 wings in here. Then we're going to lift our legs. We're going to do the same. We're going to hold it. You want to just hold it up so that you can get them off of there. You're going to gently break the skin and the membranes. Alright, when you do this, hopefully you guys can see that. There is white in here. These are the fat lines. And if you just gently take the tip of your knife, because you have a really sharp knife, you can go through the tips right here. And because I'm holding this up, it's already pulling apart. Now there is this little piece right here. A lot of people like to cut that off. That is part of your thigh if you want it. I don't. I leave it on because I like some meat on my carcass, because that is going to help, you know, just add some flavor and stuff to the carcass when I make the bone broth. Now, a lot of people, and you can definitely buy them like this in the store. There's your leg quarter. See, just like you get at a store. Charles must buy that one because there's quite a few more feathers than I like. But if you want to cut it, which is what we do, because I like to be able to have thighs and drumsticks. What you want to do is, there is a fat line here. Can you see that? The little fat line? That's what we're going to go around. And that's going to help separate it. So just take your knife and you're going to go along the fat line and just start separating it there. And then you will feel right here is a bone. And you can get your knife right in between. You can feel right where that is. And it will just go right through it. And that's it. And then you can do it with just your knife if you want. But I like to save my knife. And I just go through with my kitchen shears and cut that part off too. So then, fix your skin. Voila, you have a beautiful chicken leg ready to go. And voila, a beautiful chicken thigh as well. So, you can do the same thing on this side. Lift it, cut the skin and the membranes. Cut along the back. Sometimes you gotta jiggle it a little so that it pops. Again, that's why you need a really, really sharp knife. And then again, we're gonna just go on that fat line. You feel your bone right there. We're going right between it. It takes a little bit of practice, but once you're used to it, it's really not hard at all. So if you bought like 2 or 3 at the store, by the 3rd one, you'd be a pro. Again, just getting any feathers, and then that's ready to go. And that one's ready. All right, now we're gonna move into our breast. So for our breast, we're gonna flip it over. We have the pointy end coming towards us. We're gonna just lift this up, slice through here. Then we are just gonna start slicing very slowly at the bottom of where the skin meets the chicken, because we're doing boneless, skinless. If you wanna leave the skin on, then just leave it on. I just like to use the tip of my very sharp knife. And once you get it starting, it will just very quickly lift up. Again, sometimes a cut happens, that's all right. Doesn't happen that often. Again, I'm kind of lifting up and just letting gravity kind of just work for me. Now the skin is something else I like to just keep in a pile over here, and I'm going to shove that inside my carcass with these little bits because it still gives a lot of nutrients to the bone broth. So waste as little as possible here. Alright, then you have a line going down the middle of your chicken. So you're just going to cut along that. I am doing boneless, skinless. Alright, so there is a fat line on the side here. You can see that. There is a fat line here. We're going to, on the side of the bone, make sure you're inside the bone. We're going to go along that fat line. Again, I like to use the tip because my knife is very sharp. So the tip works great. And we're just going to kind of go like this. Then we're going to grab a hold of it and pull it up. Again, letting this work for us, the gravity. And pull that little bit of fat. And you have a beautiful chicken breast. Now, here you have chicken left on this. That is your chicken tenderloin. If you want to cut that off, cut it off. And you can use it for whatever. I leave it on because, again, I like it. Sometimes I just grab a couple carcasses and I throw it in with all the stuff to make chicken soup. And then these bits that I've left on the chicken, they're perfect for chicken soup because you just get that little bit of chicken like that I left here and then I'm leaving here. But you can definitely cut that off if you want. Again, I just like to leave it for my broth. Okay, then same thing on this side. I'm going to go along the little line. You'll feel where the bone is. And then we're just going to kind of pick it up. Cut along here. And another beautiful chicken breast. And then I have my carcass here. And then I just take this extra bits, shove them on the inside of the carcass, and when I bag the carcass, I usually bag 2 together because I like to use 2 to make a bone broth. It still has the neck attached. If you save the feet, the heart, and all that stuff because you're butchering yourself, then that can all go in there as well and be a great, great addition to your broth. And that's it, you guys. That's how you piece out a chicken. I'm gonna turn this off now for a minute. I got 2 more to piece out real quick, and then I'll share some more with you. All right, you guys, now it is time to make some oatmeal cookies. So one of the secrets to cooking everything from scratch and being able to do it is when you make things like, say, cookies, you don't need to make the whole batch right now. We're gonna make a whole batch, but you don't need to like bake the whole batch. So I'm gonna put some of that aside for the next time we want cookies. So in my freezer, half a batch of oatmeal cookies will be ready to go, and the other half we'll enjoy today and probably have some to pack in Charles's lunch tomorrow. So one of the first things I'm gonna do is I'm getting my ingredients together is I need a half a cup of brown sugar. And because I don't carry brown sugar at my house, I need to make it real quick. So I'm going to use this half cup measure. I'm going to add just a drop of molasses. Homemade brown sugar does taste superior. to store-bought. But also in the long run, it's less expensive to just do it this way than to buy it. And it is more work, but you don't even have to do this. I'm doing this for you guys. A lot of times I would just put in, calls for 1 cup of sugar and 1/2 cup of brown sugar. I would just dump in 1 1/2 cups of sugar and sprinkle in a little molasses and mix it when I'm mixing the cookies. So you don't even have to do this step when you're making brown sugar in most recipes. But I'm doing it just to show you guys how you can do it. The more molasses you add, the darker the brown sugar will be. So if you want a dark brown sugar, then you're going to add more molasses. If you want a light brown sugar like this, you're going to add a little bit less. And I think that is pretty good right there. Maybe I'll just a little bit more. Make it a little bit darker. Oh, that's going to be dark. That's all right. It still tastes divine. Oatmeal cookies with molasses will be wonderful. This will be a dark brown sugar. That's good enough because I'll mix the rest up when we're making it. If you have a stand mixer, just put everything in a stand mixer. As you guys know, I got rid of all my attachments except for my whisk because they were kind of flaking off. And so I just use my little hand mixer now. I've had really, really good hand mixers. This one is so-so. It's the Drew Barrymore one. It's so-so. I like that it has a boost button. I always look for that when I get one of these. But I've had, you know, better ones. All right, I'm gonna start with my 1/2 cup of brown sugar. I'm gonna put that in here. And I'm gonna add my 1 cup of sugar. I'm also gonna add a cup of melted butter. I'm gonna go on and cream my sugar and my butters together. Okay, next I'm going to start adding my other stuff. I'm going to add some nutmeg. Even people that don't like oatmeal cookies seem to love these oatmeal cookies. They're the old-fashioned kind. We're going to make a little icing to go on top. They're so delicious. I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Alright, a teaspoon of baking soda. A tablespoon of baking powder. A teaspoon of salt. Then I'm just going to stir this in. fall. Even though it's just oatmeal cookies, it smells like fall. You got the molasses, you got the yummy cinnamon. Okay, I'm gonna add 2 cups of flour. And I've got 2 cups of the ground oats that we made yesterday. So you just want them a little bit coarse, just not all the way coarse. Or full old-fashioned, you gotta grind them a little bit. And we're gonna mix this up. And then I just like to feel my dough. If it feels pretty damp, like this still feels a little bit wet to me, I'm gonna add a little bit more flour. And that'll just depend on the consistency of your oats. So I'm gonna add another 1/2 cup of flour to this.
Oatmeal cookies?
Oatmeal cookies. You want any of favorites?
Awesome sauce. I'm stoked. And now I got to bring the cow's water.
Thank you. Okay, so when you're making your cookies, what can mess with the moisture in the cookies, especially when you're making everything, like your brown sugar and everything, the amount of molasses you use. Instead of using quick oats, I'm grinding oats, so that how fine of a grind you have on your oats can affect it. So it very easily can be adjusted to just add a little more flour. So you just want to be able to have a regular cookie dough. It should just feel like cookie dough. All right, now I got my oven. I told you guys preheated to 350, so let's go make some cookies. I'm just gonna put them on my baking stone here and just kind of flatten them out, because I want flat cookies, and I will flatten them as soon as they come out of the oven too, because I don't want them to puff up, just because I want that old-fashioned cookie. So I want it to be like the flat, and we'll drizzle some pretty icing on top. They will be beautiful and perfect. Now if you want to get more precise on, you know, so that they look uniform, which I've done many times, just grab a little ice cream scoop or cookie scoop, and measure them that way. And also wet your fingers down if they're sticking a little bit to the dough. But I think part of everything homemade is that everything's not perfect and uniform. I like that. I like that about it. All right, I think that's good enough. So these are ready to go into the oven, and we're gonna bake them in just until they're slightly golden on top. So I'm putting these in at 155. I'll tell you what time they're done, and that'll be how long they took in my oven. Remember, everybody's oven is different, so cooking times vary. Some wax paper, because I'm going to freeze some of this dough. I'm not keeping all of this here for us to eat tonight. So I'm just gonna put it into little bits, and I'm gonna flash freeze this, so that way I can just pull them out and they'll be little cookie dough balls ready to go. And I'll do one more tray of them here in the house, or like right now, and the rest will all be frozen. I don't like to have too many cookies laying around and things like that, because I don't feel like everybody needs them all the time. And we like to have different treats. So, you know, it is Sunday, so I'll probably be making some ice cream in the next day or two. So I'll put these in my freezer just like this, And then I'll move them to a container after they freeze like this. One of the things I also like to do is in October and November, I like to make cookies as the weather gets cooler. I definitely like to do this because that is a great way to get a jump start on all your Christmas cookie baking. Because then you can just make a variety whenever you want, especially in November. And you've got them ready to go for all the holiday fun. All right, I'm gonna get these in the freezer and then I'll have these for another day. Okay, I left these in for about 14 minutes and honestly I could have got them out probably at 12 minutes. See how they're kind of puffy? I just like to go through it and smash them. Just with clean hands, smash them. Because the old-fashioned ones are very flat. And so I want these to be nice and flat as well. And I like the way it breaks it a little bit on top then and leaves kind of like these little ridges because I've smacked it with my hands. If you guys can see that, it leaves like these little ridges and it looks more like the old-fashioned kind. And then they also again have the little cracks throughout them, which make them look perfect. Alright, so for icing, I'm just doing a very basic icing of some powdered sugar. Probably should have sifted this, but I'll just break it up with my hands. Then we're going to add a little bit of milk to this, and that's it. I'm keeping it super, super simple. And then the icing will also set up as it sits, so it'll kind of harden on it. Kind of like a royal icing. I like to use a fork to do this because I'm going to use a fork to do the icing on the cookies. So just start with a tiny bit of milk. You can always add more powdered sugar. You can always add more milk. See, that was too much. Even just like that, too much. So I got to add more powdered sugar. This takes the tiniest bit of milk. I definitely should have sifted the powdered sugar. It's just a little finer than what I can get at home. I make my own powdered sugar all the time. I've shown you guys. They add a little cornstarch to theirs that helps with the texture. That's a good texture. So if you sift it first, that's what I should have done. I'm just being kind of lazy. Then you wouldn't have any lumps. But that's it. That's what you want, that consistency. And then I just spread my cookies out on a piece of parchment paper. And why I like to use a fork is so I can just go over and drizzle. And then I'll let the cookies just sit with the icing on them, and this will all set up. And then you can just store them however you're going to store them, if they last that long. I'll have to make a little bit more. Alright, now we're going to throw together our chicken. So what I have here is I'm gonna add a little bit of cooking wine. This is just some rice cooking wine that I like to use. Sake. I'm gonna pour a little bit of that in there. Then I'm gonna use a little extra virgin olive oil to top the top of my chicken. On the top, I'm gonna add some of this poultry seasoning. Just right on top of that olive oil. I want to make gravy, so I don't want to use too much different seasonings. Then I'm going to add salt to the top. You could salt the inside as well. I am going to stuff the chicken with all the good stuff I got sitting here. That's something I love to add to everything. Pretty much is crushed Korean red pepper. You can totally skip that part if you want. I love it. It's not really super spicy. It's got a little kick, but it's not crazy spicy, but it has really, really good flavor. Right now the inside, I'm just using what I have. So I have some parsley from my garden. I have some thyme from my garden. I have some rosemary from my garden. I'm just shoving all that in there. I have 4 cloves of garlic. I have some celery. Some carrots and some onion. Get that in here best I can. All right. Then I'm gonna put my lid on. I'm gonna cook this for about 45 minutes at 400 degrees, well about 30 minutes. And then I'm gonna lift the lid off and let it brown nice and pretty on the top. So, put it at 400 and we'll get it out in about 30 minutes. Then I have a can of our green beans here from our garden. I'm gonna open that up. Let's check our chicken. I was gonna make gravy, but I didn't really get enough broth to make a good gravy. So let's check our temperature. Okay, I think our chicken is done. So that is dinner chicken, mashed potatoes. We have the cookies. And then we have green beans. All right, you guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here because my mother is actually coming over for dinner tonight as well. So I'm gonna visit with her and spend some time with her. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day or night wherever you are. Bye, everybody.